Hey guys, the Golf Yogi here for GolfersRx, bringing you your weekly dose of golf fitness. Today we're talking about something that every single golfer in the world needs, from PGA Tour winners to weekend warriors, and that's hip mobility. The more mobile our hips can become, the more consistently we can strike the ball, the further we can hit the ball, and really importantly, the more longevity we have in this game. If our hips are mobile, it's going to make it a lot easier to play this game into our 70s, into our 80s, still being able to move. So generally with these videos, I don't care what order you do some of the exercises in. Today I do. I want these to be done in a little bit of a progression here. So we're going to start off easy, get a little mobility, going to give you a little bit deeper stretch, and then we're going to give you the deepest and give you a couple of options there. So to start with, guys, if you've been following along, you know one of my favorite warm-ups is just a moving squat. Take these feet to about where you'd hit an 8-iron, maybe a 7-iron, kick those toes out, start to rock it all the way down, kind of twist into it. Let the heels come up. You can work each side. You can sit up really tall, almost like you're sitting down. You can also square the chest to the ground. The butt's going to come up and back a little bit. Rock through it. See where it hits your hips a little bit differently. See where it feels good. Just move around with it. Just trying to get these hips moving so we can get a little bit deeper into them. So play around with that as much as you want, guys. You can do that for a minute or two. You can do it as long as it feels good, as long as you're not really uncomfortable with it. Then we're going to take it all the way down here to the ground. Now this first one in yoga, we call this stacking logs, and that's basically what we're going to do with our legs. So if you can imagine that you've got a yoga mat, if you have a yoga mat that you're using, great. We want to get this shin parallel to what the front of the yoga mat would be. So the cheater way to get into this, to where we can start to feel good with it, I've got my right leg forward, going to lean over onto my right side, going to take the left foot and try to put it right in the crease of your knee right here. If you can't quite get it up there, it can be a little bit lower, that's fine. But once we get up here, we're going to start to just sit up a little bit taller, try to rock into this. So maybe you only get to here, that's fine. Don't force this all the way down. If here's where you get to, start working from here. Just breathe in and out of it. The more you do this, you're going to start to get to where you can lean forward a little bit more. So there are times that I do this when I really feel it on the bottom hip. There are times that I do this where I really feel it on the top hip. It doesn't really matter. As long as you're not feeling pain, you're just feeling maybe a little bit of discomfort, a little bit of a stretch there. That's what we're looking for. Start to get into those hips, start to make them a little bit more mobile. From here, you can also do a couple of things. Leaning forward is going to make it a lot more intense into those hips. Trying to take the nose down is going to make it even more intense. So play around with this. There's no right or wrong in this, guys. As long as you aren't feeling pain, then you're doing something good to get the stretch into those hips. So same thing, just come out of it, lean all the way to the right. You can switch it up, bring that left leg forward, lean all the way into the left, and take the outside edge of that right foot and just sit right up. So this is something to look at, guys, and everybody is different with this, but I promise you one thing. Not everybody is going to be even from one side to the other. When I have my right leg on the bottom, I can get a lot deeper into the stretch than I can when I have my left leg on the bottom. So I've got to work a little bit harder on this side, and that's fine. You're going to figure out what your good and bad side is as well. Just spend a little bit more time on that bad side. So again, you can lean into it, take it a little bit deeper, just play around with it, see what feels good for you. And then the last one here, guys, this is a lot more intense. I'm going to show you kind of how to get into this to make it a little less intense as you're getting used to it. This is called Pigeon Pose in yoga, and this is huge for being able to open up the hips. So in a perfect world, we would have this shin square to the front of the yoga mat. To get into this nice and slowly to start with, we're going to hug this heel in. We're going to sit up here and we're going to try to square these hips towards the front of the yoga mat. So we would, in a perfect world, again, like to have this right hip on the ground. But if it comes up a little bit, that's okay, as long as you're not feeling any pain or any real stress into there. From here, you can just try to sit up tall. Feel like you're working this left hip flexor towards the ground a little bit. So you don't want to be all the way over here cocked to the side. Try to square the hips, try to work down into it. It's going to give you a big stretch into this right hip. If you want to take this further, again, you can work the foot out a little bit, keep those hips square. Just going to start to walk, lean down into this as far as you want to, as long as, again, no pain, guys. Discomfort is okay, pain is not. So just working all the way down. You can get comfortable in this one. You can treat this like a yin pose. You can spend a couple of minutes in this if it feels good to you. If you stay right here, that's absolutely fine. You're still going to get a huge stretch into it. So again, play around with it. See which leg feels better. You're going to get that back leg straight behind us. Hug that heel into wherever it's comfortable. Try to work those hips down. Try to square the hips off. Again, feel like you're working this offside hip flexor towards the ground. You can lean out with it. You can lean down with it. play around, just try to get that big stretch all the way into that left hip. So guys, as always, if you have any questions on these, if it feels a little funky to you, you're not sure if you're doing it right, send me an email, mark@thegolfyogi.com. Always happy to answer those questions for you. Get down on the ground, get a little work in, start to open into those hips, head out and play some great golf, guys. Cheers.